Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Parker again, back again with yet again another action figure review. Today we are reviewing the Star Wars The Clone Wars Captain Rex Phase 2. Now this is probably one of the rarest figures I have in my collection. This is the one that was released everywhere but the US pretty much. This is actually from the last wave of the Clone Wars figures ever from 2013 I believe. And I've had this figure for a few months, but I just haven't gotten around to reviewing it yet, and you can see he's out of the packaging because how am I going to leave this beauty in the packaging? So we'll take a look at the packaging first, since I actually kept it since it's such a rare figure. So here you can see the green Yoda. This is actually for the 3D re-release of Attack of the Clones. Since they did Phantom Menace, they were going to do all of the prequels. But then Disney bought Star Wars, and that pretty much went down the drain. So you can see the Star Wars logo right here. We have a little graphic of Captain Rex from the show in his Phase 2 armor. We have Captain Rex, and it says gun spins, and then it has that exact same term in other languages. You have the Clone Wars here, 4 Plus Hasbro. You have the Fighter Pods logo. I actually left the Fighter Pod thing in there, and we'll take a look at that in a second. On the side it has CWO4, so Clone Wars number 4. This is the 4th figure in this wave. On the back you get some pretty nifty look at what international packaging looks like for the Clone Wars figures in particular. So of course you have more Fighter Pods branding. They really went all in on that. And then they ask a parent first. Website available for limited time only. So that's fun. And then here we have a picture of not the Rex in the packaging, actually. This is a picture of the previously released Phase 2 Rex with the weird wide stance knees, or legs that you can't bend at the knees even. And you can see, I mean, the only thing that it shares here is it's cleaner. The other one has a dirtier paint deco, but this one is just that figure, just white. And then here you can see gun spins again, a nice little graphic of Captain Rex with his name, and then here just like the tiniest little description. Captain Rex fights beside Anakin Skywalker during the Clone Wars, and then that exact sentence in multiple languages. Galactic Republic, and then of course CWO4 again. And then you get a little semi-checklist of what else is in the wave. Collect them all, sold separately. So you have R2-D2, one of my other grails, the 501st Jetpack Trooper. You have the regular battle droid, and then you have the Spider Legs Maul. I know he was released in a 3-pack here in the States with Mother Talzin and Savage Opress, but I don't know if he was ever released here in a single carded. So this could be a international exclusive figure, or the Darth Maul could be. I know the Rex is for sure. So of course, warning, attention, and just that phrase in multiple different languages. So we will take a look at this little Fighter Pods code. So as you can see, I read it open just to see what it was about when I initially bought it. So Fighter Pods, and on the back there's the code. That's not gonna do anything nowadays, but it's still fun to see like old advertisements and stuff for website. It's like the Marvel Universe, the little documents they came with. So that's always fun to see. But if we get back to the figure here, we'll first take a look at his accessories, as I'm starting to do. So we have 2 DC-15 blaster pistols. Now these are bigger than the original Clone Wars wave or line. I'm most certain about it, because the original ones, actually I might be lying, but this feels smaller, and I'm right. The gun is about the same size, but the handle on the not new, obviously 2013, over 10 years ago, but on the latest gun, the handle is noticeably larger. Like if you take a look at those, that's that. So that's interesting. So he has that, and then he has one of the greatest accessories a Clone Wars figures ever come with, a rotary cannon. And you can see here, it looks very nice. You have silver paint in the barrel, and as advertised, it does spin. So that's always nice. And this up here is molded into this, but not molded to this, so it stays up and you can actually spin it fully. You have the little handles here, so this can move up and down, and this one can rotate side to side. You have some nice kind of beige paint there. It's molded in a kind of metallic gunmetal color, but overall it is a very nice looking weapon. And now let's get to the figure, one of my most prized gems of all time. This is the Phase 2 Captain Rex figure, but with one, actually I'll say two important distinctions. So as we can see here, he's just the stylized Clone Wars The Last Wave. We'll take a look at the articulation before we get into the paint. He has a ball jointed head, so it can look up, and it's made to look down, but he can turn his head 360. He has a hinge at the shoulder, but you're not gonna get much from that, sadly. He has a hinge at the elbow, which goes about like a little itty bitty less than 90 degrees, but you could swivel that. No wrist articulation. He has a swivel at the torso, and then at the legs he just has a simple kick, or just like, I guess, a hinge at the hip. And then the most, again, important distinction from the American release is the knees. He has bendable knees. Now let's actually get a look into the figure, and firstly we can see, as opposed to the one released in America, this one is a completely clean armor deco. There's no weathering or anything. There's some more like baby blue, let's zoom in here, some more baby blue highlights as opposed to the kind of welding marks the American release had. So this one has much lighter coloring to it, I'll say. I'd say the blue, even for like just the armor in general, is a lot lighter than the American release. So you can see there the hands are molded to hold the pistols, obviously. On the helmet we have the rangefinder, which is painted a nice little like soft gray, I'd say. You have like the little jag eyes. The visor is very nice. There's some, I think it's actually the same light gray from the rangefinder, and the little grills for the mouth. We have some black on, I guess, like ventilator maybe. We have some tally marks on that side and on this side. The pauldron is the same exact mold. I'm pretty certain that's the same exact mold, just painted again a lighter blue to match the rest of the paint deco. And then on the torso, you can see where the welding lines would be on the American version. It's just a light blue kind of like scribble, which I don't actually mind a whole lot, and I think it looks pretty decent. And then for the arms here, we have a straight blue. I don't know if that's that's most likely just my copy that has some scratches right there. It's okay. I mean, it makes sense to have some paint scratched here and there for a clone. And here we have the little communicator. On the elbow, we also have a little dash of blue paint. And then on the other arm, it's pretty much the same. Just missing the communicator, obviously. And then the comma is molded plastic, as, let's zoom out real quick. It's molded plastic, as every single one of the Clone Wars was. I don't think, actually I'm incorrect, one Captain Rex did have a cloth goods comma, but this one is one of the, pretty much every other one that didn't have one. But it's not a bad mold. It's made of a much softer plastic, so he can move his legs. And you can see here on like the little outskirt, there is lines of blue. And then of course he has the holsters for his pistols, and the pistols do fit in there quite nicely. So you can get that one in there, and that one in there. And then down to the legs, there's not a whole lot like on the armor here, but there is some blue, there's blue little stripes on the knee pads, and then he has some more tally marks on the arm. This one has noticeably less tally marks than the American version, but you know, that's fine. I really like this figure. I know it's not the greatest Captain Rex figure to ever be released, but I just simply love the Clone Wars so much, and it's just so cool to have such a rare version of this figure. I mean, I really like, I do love the shade of blue they use, this kind of more baby blue color that they used instead of the like more harsh, honestly close to the navy blue the American release used. I think this figure just looks spectacular. It looks pretty much like you tore it out of the cartoon. I will say the articulation is hard to get behind, especially when your crouch is about that. But overall, I think it's a very nice figure. And the reason that these little handles rotate is so you can get it into his hands, because no wrist articulation is going to make it kind of hard to hold this gun. So you can get him kind of like that, lift up the minigun, and the hands are very loose since he's actually holding the pistols in the package, I believe. So over a decade of holding guns is gonna make the hands look a little wide. But I did want to do a comparison with this guy and then some other Phase 2 Captain Rexes I own. So I'll put this guy on the far left, and I have these two on standby. I don't know if they're all going to fit on this little platform I've constructed, but we will try. And the next one up is the American release of this figure. So we can set him, actually let's make sure I can stand him up, and we will set him on the little base. So as you can see there's him, and then the next is the most recent vintage collection Phase 2 Captain Rex. So we can set him in the back here. And there we go. Things are already going wrong. Yeah, these guys, we'll just rest him on the wall there. Well, anyways, since they don't want to balance for anything whatsoever, yeah, so we'll just lay him down. But as you can see, I have a couple different Phase 2 Rexes. So first we will compare him with the other Clone Wars Captain Rex they released. I actually have both, which is a bit of a blessing. So the first noticeable difference here is paint. Like I said before, the blue on the previously released Rex is much darker, like noticeably so. And then the other big thing is obviously just the overall paint compared to this one. You can see he has like a withered kind of look. The pauldron here is the same. I was correct. But again, darker blue. And then you have, see right here, this is the biggest difference, or at least my brain can nitpick, is the welding marks. So like I said, on the one released everywhere but the US, pretty much EU, it has a baby blue line there, while this one has silver and like a metallic looking orange to simulate the welding marks, and that's everywhere that the baby blue is on the EU released one. Interesting. Another thing is this one also has far more tally marks. So we can see here on the right arm that this Rex has tallies here, while the newer one does not. And then on the legs, I don't think there's much of a difference. No. But they're different enough, and the biggest difference is he doesn't have any knees. He can just kick out, while this one does have knees. That's pretty much the main. That's kind of how I differentiate them, and how I've heard other people differentiate them in videos prior to mine. But I still think they're both neat little figures. And then, the vintage collection one. Now, like I said in the previous vintage collection review, I think that they have pretty much perfected Clone Trooper action figures, and this figure is just displaying the best of everything. So of course, we have the newer Clone Trooper body with a whole ton of articulation, all the tally marks where they need to be. I mean, this one just is categorically a better figure than my Clone Wars one over there. The only issue I see is the helmet. This helmet is far too small for such a like broad body that they're using here. I think it's far too small. But compared to that one's far too big, which is funny. They can never seem to get that down right with Captain Rex. But just everything, he has a pretty much perfect 90-degree elbow. The biggest thing here is soft goods comma. I mean, that's just fantastic. I will say the blaster pistols are super small on this guy. Like, that is tiny. But I'd say this is just good. You can see the welding marks on the torso there too. This one I think actually has more tally marks than the other two, because he has some on that hand, on both hands actually. And then he has a few more. I think he has a few more on his legs compared to the other two. But it's just crazy how far we progressed from this to this. I mean, that's just crazy. I will say the blue. This blue is actually a lot more similar to this one. It's not the most similar. It's not like the same color, but I'd say compared to this one. Actually, I may be lying. These two are more similar. This one just is a more aggressive shade of blue than this one. This is like a more soft shade of blue. So that's why I kind of associated it with this one, but this one's just straight dark. I really don't like this figure all that much. I hate to say it, but this newer one is just way better. I mean, more articulation first off, and I think just the clean deco is a little nicer. And even if they didn't want to give this guy knees for some reason, I know they did that with like Commander Fox and Wolf, just make the legs closer in, because this wide stance is a little silly. And he actually came with a minigun too, or a rotary cannon, which I have right here. But as you can see, holy Jesus, this thing is enormous. This thing, half the size of the figure, and about as wide as well. This is just quite the... I mean, obviously, it's for kids, but at the same time, dude, this guy has a hard time holding this thing. I think most of my clone troopers have a problem holding this thing. It's just enormous. I mean, you can kind of get it in there, but yeah, it's gonna slip. It's just too heavy for this guy, and that's probably why they gave him the wider stance, so he could support the weight of this rocket launcher. But this figure is just one of my favorites I've ever gotten. It's just a very nice looking Captain Rex here. Very happy to have it in my collection. It's one of the things I've wanted since I was a little kid, pretty much. Since I found out about this thing, I was like, dude, this is amazing. And it's the product of a bygone era, which is unfortunate. Boom, get him in a nice little pose. But that's going to be the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Enjoyed hearing me ramble about one of my favorite characters of all time, and one of my favorite figures of that specific character of all time. There's probably going to be another review, another couple, before the more comic-inspired videos come out, but they'll be a lot of fun too. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.